This is an I told you so follow-up on two topics. The first is the abortion pill. And I told you in my discussions on that issue that the real concern was the use of the U.S. mails. You hardly have any discussion about that aspect of his decision in the media. And everything I hear in the media is basically from the pro-choice side, who almost always start off by saying this conservative Trump appointee judge entered this decision, this injunction, and then they go on from there about how he's using his own philosophy and political views in this opinion. And as I told you at the time, I had skimmed the whole opinion, but I hadn't read the entire thing carefully. But the one part that concerned me was the part where he says that using the U.S. mails for the transportation of matters that are to be used in abortions is prohibited. And that was an act of Congress. It's clear. And the judge is probably right on that issue. Now, there is a concern having to do with standing, because you just can't have any Joe Blow going into federal court and saying, I don't like that piece of legislation or that act by some government because it's against my political views or my moral code. You have to have standing, which means the person bringing the suit has to be directly impacted by the actions that they're trying to enjoin. And I think that he may have gone out on a limb on that one and may very well be reversed on that issue. He had like the Doctors Against Abortion. If you're against abortion, don't participate in it. That doesn't mean you have standing to take that away from other people. But that's that to me is so far what I've seen is the main weakness in his argument. But on this mailing thing, he's spot on. It's black letter. You read it. It's right in front of you. I suggest if you have doubts about this, look it up yourselves. And sure enough, the Court of Appeals, one of the things they did, they lifted the stay of his action. They stayed part of it, in part. But what they left in place was the part dealing with the use of the mails, and that they prohibited. Which means if you're a pharmaceutical company and you've made one or both of these drugs, you can't ship them to any retailers or wholesalers at all, because you'd be in violation of federal law according to this judge. So that just shuts this down altogether. It doesn't matter what other issues you want to bring into this debate. On that issue alone, he stopped it. And it's going to stay that way until someone takes some action. And hopefully enough people will stop just commiserating about this judge's philosophy and do something to bring pressure on Congress. And the Democrats only need to switch a few votes to repeal that portion of the statute. Then you have to do it in the Senate. But in the Senate, because abortion is such a negative issue for Republicans in the swing states, they should be able to pick up enough Republican senators to break cloture, which means you need 2/3 of the Senate to do so. And I think they can do it, but it's going to take effort, and it's going to take people to stop complaining about the judge's philosophy and start focusing in particular on this issue. So hopefully some of you out there will be involved in some efforts to bring about the repeal of that provision regarding the U.S. mails, assuming that you strongly believe that this drug should be made available. Second issue, number 2, had to do with the stabbing in San Francisco. And I was very angry at this Earhart woman on Fox and Friends in the morning. I keep wanting to say Amelia Earhart, but obviously that's not Ainsley Earhart, who was just repeating what Joe behind the curtain, I call him Joe Earbud, because he was obviously somebody was talking to her, telling her these things. And she was saying, well, see, this is what happens in San Francisco because of their liberal policies and because of the defunding the police, and this is what happens, they brought this on themselves. So now it's turned out that apparently this person who killed him, I think it was a woman, was somebody he knew. She had been in a car with him. She's now been arrested and charged with murder. And somebody else on Fox News, not that program, but another Fox News program, said, well, yeah, it looks like it was somebody he knew, and this is contrary to what many people thought, or what not many people, I forget the term, but the term was essentially that people thought. That just sort of sounds like everybody, as Trump does all the time. People. There are many people who. So people thought that this was a result of the rising crime rate in San Francisco, but apparently it was not. It was somebody with whom we knew personally, and we'll find out the details later. So the "I told you so" had to do with the fact that I said that they have no idea how this murder came about. And for them to be saying this is a result of the overall violent crime taking place in San Francisco and the atmosphere of lawlessness was an irresponsible and stupid thing to say. And now they've been caught. I caught him. I doubt if anybody else noticed it. Maybe I just paid too much attention to these details, but that's how it looked to me.